Graig Miller. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you, bud?
I'm doing awesome. So,
That is catchy. I've been doing some yard work lately, and it goes through my head more than I want to admit.
well, it's a pretty catchy tune. I feel blessed to have that. One of my best buddies, from growing up. I don't remember not knowing David. And he's just a talented dude, and he watches my stuff and just said, "Hey, man, I made something for you," and just blew me away. So it's actually an entire song, and at some point, I guess I'll play the whole song because it's got some great lyrics. And so yeah, I love it because it reminds me of my buddy. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool.
So got Mr. Midlife here today, and I'm excited to have you on. I mean, I've told the story a bunch of times about my genesis with the YouTube deal. Really dates back to you. Like there is the coaching trees, like the Nick Saban tree, and then there's the Lombardi tree and the Parcells tree and that kind of stuff. I'm a branch off your tree, buddy, because I wouldn't be right here looking into a camera on my laptop talking to you if it weren't for you and your generosity. So I'm very thankful for that.
Well, I'll say that I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did because I enjoy your content, but you getting involved in the community has allowed us to have a better opportunity to connect. And as you and I both know, the cards are great. The camaraderie is great, but the friendships that you really connect with certain people, that's really that's really the biggest thing. And if the cards all went away, I'd be okay. If the YouTube went away, it'd be okay. But I got a handful or so of my buddies that if they went away, I would not be okay.
I feel the same way. Like I told you the other day, I feel like I talked to you and Petty and Darren and Mookie and some of you guys in our group text more than I talked to my wife on some days. So that
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. My
um,
wife has said multiple times, she's like, I hope I get to meet these guys someday because I talk all the time about you guys. I mean, she knows all about all you guys. And
yeah, my
she's
wife
just
is
like,
too.
I hope I get to meet them someday. I was like,
Yeah.
I hope you do too.
Well, we'll get out there. Y'all get here. We'll do something.
Yeah.
So what I want to do today is just kind of talk about, your journey through collecting and kind of some of your style of collecting. Maybe hit a little bit on your YouTube history. I've never heard your history of how you got into YouTube. You've hit on it a few times, but not really in detail that I remember. And I watch all your videos. And then at the very end, you need to stay tuned for this if you're watching. Greg's going to let his hair down a little bit, and he's going to do the Miller Minute, which is, an ode to our buddy Mike Petty and the Petty Minute that he does on our Odd Couple episodes. I can't wait for this because I've never seen you rant. Well, actually, we've been on a few texts where you've ranted a few times, but I've never seen you do it to the public on a video. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to this, man.
Let's do it.
All right. So you know, as far as you being a kid, you've talked a lot about on your channel. By the way, I love your channel and what you do. There is nobody in our community that fosters community like you do. Like, you're not just all about showing cards. You know your niche, man, and you are a community builder. You are the voice. You are the town hall, and I know that's what you take a lot of pride in, and I give you kudos for that because you are awesome at that. Like just building the community, doing your different type videos. You've kind of got a system down, and we know what to expect from you. And you just foster that. Is that something that you started out with a mindset? Tell me kind of the genesis of that and how that happened.
So first of all, thank you. Those are super kind words, especially with someone I respect as much as yourself. I grew up as a kid not being a music guy. And I know you're saying, what do you just bear with me for a second. I wasn't a music guy. I like music. I do like music, but I wasn't a guy who would go down and buy the CDs and the new CD and play it on loop. That's not who I was. I was always a talk radio guy. Even as a kid, I would turn on the sports talk radio And then as I got older, and in college and stuff, I would do some like more political talk, like current events stuff. But I like all talk radio, even like there will be these shows where it'll be like people will call in with legal questions or financial questions. And I just love hearing thoughts and opinions and perspectives. And to me, that's really interesting. And when I started watching YouTube, I actually started watching TikToks first.
Right.
I don't even. We were on COVID or something, and my brother or somebody was like, you should check out this TikTok thing." And then I started seeing a few about cards, and I was like, "This is pretty interesting." So then, once you start watching some of that, it starts feeding you more of that. So I started seeing card stuff, and then I started finding myself watching some TikTok like live streams, and and then somehow I ended up over on YouTube and I saw the Jabs Family Guy. He was at a national and he's just basically going along the national, just looking in cases and stuff. And I was like, this is great. And
So he
and
was
so
videoing like we did at Strongsville?
a little bit of the cases, a little bit of him talking about what his targets were, and then he'd show his pickups for the day. And I was like, man, because that guy's been doing this for like 10 years or something. And so it was a few years ago. And and then I started looking up other YouTube stuff. And there are a lot of channels that have been doing like showing their cards, and talking about different series and talking about this set versus this set. And here's a rare set. And then they'd buy cards and they'd show their mail days of the stuff. And that's all cool stuff. But I was like, man, what I want like sports card talk radio. Like I want
Yeah.
to hear about ideas. I want to hear about strategies and concepts and backgrounds and how do you get from this card to this card and how do people transition their interests. So I started kind of going, I want a place where people can just hang out and hear about cards. And so a lot of my videos early on were question based where I would like do some data research and then I'd say like, are you guys think that this is legit or is this what you're seeing when you're at shows? And it was a lot of that. And then because there were questions, they would start commenting a lot. And then I I for the first 2 years responded to every single comment, not just thanks, but like with like a thoughtful response because I never wanted to be like as a teacher and stuff. I never have wanted to be like a assembly line, like a UC Berkeley speaking to 600 students. Like I've always wanted to have more of a close knit thing. So I was like, I wanted people to know that like they were a part of the channel. It's not me just showing my stuff or talking about my thoughts. I wanted a dialogue. And so even now I will have a written response about 80% of the time. But sometimes if people just make like a statement like, cool video, I don't need to say I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I just like it, or like heart it or something. But I still respond to a lot, and so I just wanted basically a channel where I could have that dialogue of sports talk radio where people have opinions and I have a strong opinion and you have a strong opinion. And it doesn't mean you're right about, like people would say, oh, we need to fire the coach. And someone else, we don't need to fire the coach. That's not the problem. It's the GM. And it's not like anybody's right or wrong. It's just a place where we can share and disseminate opinions and information. And that's one of the reasons I really like this format. Like on the way home today, I was listening to Golden Age of Cardboard. And it was Diamond Yard and Orlando Collector Stream and Mike Moynihan, and like I really like stuff like that where they're just going like, where do you think the hobby's at? Like and for a long time, a lot of the old time YouTube guys, and maybe even still now, they're like, man, that guy doesn't even show cards. It's like I show some cards, but you're right. That's not what this channel is about. It's more about sharing opinions and thoughts and kind of strategies and where we're at and where we're headed and what do we think about this than it is about just looking at cards, because there already are channels that are looking at cards that have better cards than me and have more cards than me. So why would anyone want to hang out with me if they're just looking at cards that are, when there's already people doing that? So I'm like, I'm not going to try to compete with that. I'm not going to try to do what they're doing. Someone's already doing that well. You want to, if you want to like get involved, you got to bring something new to the table. And so
Yeah.
I tried to bring something new to the table, and it works for me and it works for what I want. And the second interview I ever did was with Theo Clemente Collector. So the very first person that ever had me on was Sammy Thunder, and that was like December of 2022 or January of 2023, somewhere in there. And Sammy had me on, and then very shortly thereafter, Theo had me on.
So how
And
many videos had you released by then?
well,
Were you like 10
I know
in or
I know
5?
you want a short answer, but that's just
No,
not how I
no, man,
work.
no, knock yourself out.
So what I did was I felt like for a channel to get their footing, you need to have like a library of stuff so that if somebody finds you, they don't go, "Oh, the guy's got 2 videos."
Yeah.
So what I did when I launched my channel is I pre-recorded 10 videos,
Wow.
and I released one pretty much every day for 10 straight days.
Dang.
And they were short though. They were like mail days. They were like some PSA grading tips and things. Back when I would grade with PSA somewhat regularly, because I wanted, if someone found me, they could go, "Well, what else has this guy got?"
Yeah.
So I just kind of went bang, and then I was doing like 4 or 5 a week, and I did that for a couple of weeks, and then so in the first week, I pumped out I'm sorry, in the first month, I probably pumped out 20 videos in the first month, but these are like 3 to 8 minute videos.
That's still a
It,
lot though.
yeah, I hadn't really found you can't have a dialogue if there's nobody watching.
Right.
So before I could get my channel to where I wanted it to be,
Yeah.
I had to first create like a base of people that were actually checking in. And I didn't know anyone. I never, when Theo reached out to me and said, "Hey, will you be on?" I never even heard of Theo. I watched about 2 or 3 TikTok guys. I liked Golden Age of Cardboard with Moynihan. I watched a little bit of Junk Wax Hero stuff, some of the episodes he did, a little bit of Sammy Thunder stuff. I really liked Silver Jackify. Um, I didn't find a lot of these guys. I didn't even know there was like a community of guys. I was
Yeah.
just doing my thing.
Yeah.
And then Sammy asked me on. I was like, "Holy crap, like this guy just asked me on." Like
That's
he's
awesome.
got like he had just hit 1,000 viewers. I was like, I had like 150,
Yeah.
subscribers. And I was like, yeah, I mean, so I went on and he had like this little game show thing, like this quit trivia game thing, and I was on. And he was very welcoming, and then Theo, but to my point, again, here I am just rambling. Theo Theo said, "How do you envision your channel? What do you want your channel to become?" And I said, "I want it to be like the show Cheers." And he starts laughing at me. And he's like, "Cheers?" And I go, "Yeah, like a place where people just go and hang out and just talk about life and talk about what's going on. And everybody knows each other. And it's just like this camaraderie where everybody's got their personalities, but everybody still belongs." And he was like, "All right." And so, like, I had that vision. And that was probably in like, I don't know, late January or early February of 2023. So I had only been in for like maybe 4 or 5 months, and I didn't have a ton of subscribers. I had maybe 500 subscribers or something in this time. But that's what I wanted, is I basically wanted talk radio, but I didn't want to just do a podcast because cards are a visual thing. And I felt like there are opportunities where you can connect with people on a visual level on a YouTube, and if people want to podcast my YouTube, they can, but if people want the visual, they can. And I'm like, why would I eliminate that sensory aspect of this visual hobby if I don't have to?
Yeah.
So I was pretty dedicated to it being on YouTube, and I try to do visual stuff from time to time. But with all due respect, I think of myself as more of like a podcast. Guys are like, "You're long-winded, man." And I'm like, I am long-winded, but 45 minutes is like a normal podcast. And I'm
Yeah.
basically a podcast where you're just looking at my freaking gray hair as I'm talking at you, And then I
Yeah, but
show
you
stuff
do all the
sometimes.
cool stats and you do all the there's not I don't know how you do what you do, man, to be honest with you. Like I'm in awe of what you do. So basically what you're saying is you didn't really have a template. You just kind of thought this is what I want it to be and you went out and made it happen. And that's impressive, man.
I couldn't believe there were all these channels out there that were all buddies and were doing all of these like there were some guys doing collaborate. I didn't even know that existed, and it's like now the formula that I see is what a lot of people that start a channel is they they're a part of the community as like a commenter, and then they say, you know what, I want to get involved, I want to make videos, and then they jump in and everybody already knows them, so then everybody shares them out, and then they kind of instantly have like a bit of an
A base.
audience.
Yeah.
And yeah, and yeah, base. And I mean, after about 6 weeks, I bet I had 25 subscribers. I mean, it was like, and when I say 25 subscribers, I'm talking my wife, my daughters, my parents, my stepdad,
Yeah.
couple of buddies. I mean, there was no one watching for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And some of those videos, a few of them I took down because they weren't really in line anymore with, once I got a little bit of a base and I wanted it to be a dialogue thing, it wasn't really in line with that. And so if people found me and then started watching those, they would think I was that kind of channel. But I was just basically at that point trying to have some content that would be somewhat interesting to become somewhat relevant. So it wasn't until I had one video, and I've told the story like once or twice, but I did a video about PSA grading because I was grading during COVID and stuff. Like I was flipping a lot of soccer cards, modern soccer, and I would use the money to buy what I wanted. And so I kind of found some things to do that seemed to be helping with PSA. So I made a video about that, and in the first like 2 days, it blew up, and it had like 150 views. And I
Wow.
went to work one day before school. It was like 7 a.m. out here. I'm at work, and I look, and all of a sudden, I look, and it was like it just it just like blew up. Like it went from 150 views, then it was getting like 5 views a minute.
Oh
And I
wow.
was like, what just happened? And then it got like 500 views in like 2 hours. And I'm like, what the heck just happened? I don't know what, to this day, I don't know what happened. But it
Uh,
blew up, and then the base showed up. And that's when I think people actually started to kind of know that I even existed. So I don't know what happened that day. It was at one morning, and it
yeah.
went crazy, and then it just went back to normal. And I was
Hmm.
like,
Well, even
"Who
back
yeah,
then, the grading videos got a lot of views, got in that algorithm. So,
guess.
you know what?
I
I think
guess.
I went back and watched that. You were showing, like, how to package cards to send them and stuff like that, and how to make sure they
Mhm.
were clean.
Yeah.
And where is that the right one?
Yeah, that's the one. And
Yeah,
it's funny because again, it's like when nobody's watching you, because I didn't just like say I wasn't like buddies with, you know, Sammy and say, "Hey, dude, will you share out my video?" And then all of a sudden, like some people notice me. Like I'm telling you, it was like, you know, I had videos with like 12 views after a
yeah,
month. It was slow going, and then that happened, and then Sammy noticed me, and then Theo noticed me, and then not long after that, Mike Moynihan had me on. Like it was like all of a sudden, it just kind of made me somewhat relevant, I guess.
yeah. And that's cool because when you're noticed, you're not doing it for that. I'm not.
No.
I know you personally now, and you're not doing it for that. But it does add a little bit of something to it when people are paying attention and you get comments in that, and you're not just in a vacuum, because that's why I can't speak for you, but that's why I do it. I don't want to collect in a vacuum. It allows me to collect and have some fun with it and have some community. So with you, you've kind of told that part of it. But what people don't understand, if you're just a viewer, not just a viewer, but if you're someone who views my channel or your channel or any channel on a regular basis, there's a lot goes into this, like especially with yours. I mean, what you do is prolific, man. To do 4 a week, sometimes five, and to put all of the stuff on the screens, and you do all the research and all that. I mean, how much time a week would you guess that you're spending doing your YouTube stuff?
More than people realize. Um, you know, I don't. I do things differently than a lot of other channels do them. A lot of people will, just kind of hit play and then talk into the camera and then they're done and they hit unplay and then they upload. And that's great. I mean, that's super authentic. That's super like just regular guy. And I respect that. But as a teacher who presents every day and performs basically every day, um, I hold my presentations to a standard that just have a few touches that I want them to have. And I'm really hard on myself. Like I'm really anytime anybody leaves me a nasty comment, don't worry. It ain't the first time I've heard it because I've said it to myself, you
Yeah,
know? And so it is a lot of it is a lot. So like for example, my Q&A, it could be really easy. I could just print them and then I could just read them into the camera and then talk and then read the next one and then talk. But again, this is not just a podcast. This is like a platform where some people want to watch. And that's not fun to watch in my opinion. That's
yeah,
not fun to watch. Adding a little bit of polish where like, I'll voice over and have the question nicely written, or take a screenshot of it and have it look decent on the screen as I'm reading it. Make sure I read it with some inflection where it gets the point across that the person's trying to ask.
yeah,
Pop in some, and sometimes honestly, I get a little lazy. Like a guy called me out on my video from, let's see, this is Thursday the 17th that we're recording this. I don't know when you're going to post it, but yesterday, April 16th, I did a Q&A video and somebody, my buddy Brent Richards said, all right, if you have $10,000 and you're in a contest and you're going to see what the items are worth 10 years from now, um, what what would you put the money into? And I know a lot of people hate questions about value,
yeah,
but it's a lot of money we're spending. So
yeah.
value, it matters.
Yeah.
And I said that the Bond bread card,
Yeah.
you know, and and somebody in the comments said, "I don't know that card. Did I miss you sharing a picture of it on the screen?" And I was like, "I don't know,
They're
man. You're
used to
right."
you.
I'm
So
like, "You're right, man." I'm like, "You're right." And you know what? You know why I didn't? Because I am trying to keep my head above water right now.
yeah,
Because I just went to Strongsville. When
yeah,
teachers are out for a couple of days, you don't just say, "I won't be there." You got a bunch of work to set it up, and then you have a bunch of work after the
yeah,
fact. It's less work to go to work than to not go to work. I'm trying to pump out the videos from the show. I'm trying to do things like be on here with you. I want to be, it was my wife's birthday 2 days ago. It was, we're doing my dad's birthday and Easter this weekend. And so I got all this stuff going on. I got yard work. I just had surgery, so I couldn't do yard work. So finally I can do yard work. So I'm out there doing that. And yeah, I took a couple of little shortcuts over the last couple of weeks, and it didn't get by anybody. I mean, they're like, "Where's the picture, bro?" And
well,
I'm
it
like,
never
"I
occurred to
know."
me. I thought it
I
was
was,
awesome. So
yeah, I was just like, "Sorry, you're right though." But I take pride in that kind of stuff. Is I want to do that, but I also at the same time sometimes I have to look in the mirror and say, I can't be perfect. I can't do it all. So this episode, I'm not going to be able to go back through and add all the graphics, because it's enough for me right now to just get the video up. So I'm
yeah,
gonna just get the video up, and I cut a couple of corners, and I got caught.
yeah,
But
I do.
I do
I did
try
the
really
same
hard.
thing.
I do try really hard to do that stuff, and but I mean, like my when the community pickup video that I do, people are like, "Oh yeah, this is no big deal. Just send out the video." That I bet I spent on that video, honestly, I bet I spent 5 hours on that
Oh,
video,
wow.
because I've got to upload each picture individually. A lot of the times they're not cropped. So I've got to crop them, because if they're not cropped, then the people who are watching aren't going to be able to get a good look at the card. So I got to crop them. If I get 140 submitted, say each one takes 3 minutes, 140 times 3 minutes is
Yeah,
a lot of hours.
yeah,
And I like doing it. I mean, I'm not complaining,
yeah.
but you're
I asked
asking,
the question.
yeah, you asked a question. So like that video takes a lot of time. But it's also one of my favorite ones of the month. So
Right.
I love it. So I'm not going to stop doing it, but it takes a lot of time.
Yeah,
Um, and But you know what? I stopped watching TV. I don't watch TV almost ever anymore. Um, I watch some sports still. This fills a lot of my TV time. I don't golf as much as I used to, because instead of golfing, I'm doing this stuff a lot. But this brings me joy too. I mean, this is a hobby within a hobby. Um, but it is time consuming, and I think there are time like I don't think my kids will ever look back and say, "Was your dad lazy?" I don't think they'll say, "Yeah, my dad was lazy," because I'm always doing yard work, my videos, or I'm at work, or I'm driving to soccer games, or
yeah.
whatever. So
Well, I
it,
want to
it
kind of point something out here. So, like what I said earlier about having a channel, I owe a lot to you. It's because we met at the National. We've told that story before, and you were nice enough to give me your number and tell me if I needed anything, that you really were encouraging me to do it. And so I took you up on it. And I was texting you, asking you how to do a thumbnail and how to make that the picture that you see when you're scrolling through YouTube. I didn't know about there's a thing called YouTube Studio that guys, I didn't know anything about it. You told me how to do that. I mean, a lot of things, but you were very kind. But I've gotten to know you and I consider you one of my closest friends now. And you're just one of the best guys. But just to pull back the veil, you are an all-in dude, man. So you don't have to respond to this. I'm just telling people who are watching this. You are an all-in guy. You are all in with your children. you're an all-in husband, but you're all in on YouTube. And when you're a friend of yours, you're all in, dude. And it is all the time, all in. And so what you see on these videos is what that's what you are as a person. And so it doesn't go unnoticed. And that's why people watch your stuff, man. It's like clockwork. We know they're going to come out on Mondays, Wednesdays, what is it? Fridays and Saturdays. And usually you do that, you got that system, and nobody's tried to copy you. Because I honestly don't know if anybody could do it, not to the
Well,
extent you do it.
well, there are some people that do some similar stuff, but that's fine. I don't. I take that as a compliment. And
Yeah.
and let me first say, you you are I consider you a really close friend, and the fact that I didn't even know you, in middle of July of
Yeah.
2024, and now you're as close a person in my life as you are is crazy.
Yeah. It is wild.
And it's like you've we've talked, and I don't need to rehash this, but we've all had encounters with people that we recognized from what different things where we were disappointed with the encounter. We've all everybody's had that, you
Yeah.
know, and I've had times like that myself. And so, you know, I am a grain of sand on the beach. But there are some people that see me and go, I know that guy. I'm going to say hi.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make sure I'm going to work as hard as I can that I come across as the authentic person that I try really hard to be.
Yeah.
And I know there are people out there that are haters, and I know there are people who watch me looking for me to mess up, but the overwhelming majority of people are just fantastic. And I don't give my number to just anyone, Tony. I hope you know
I mean,
that.
I was shocked.
I I I, I just I just knew with you that you're just a different kind of guy. Like I could just tell. I was like, this guy is legit,
Yeah.
and meeting you and Tim, and you guys are great. But there are times where I'm like, being invisible at the national for a couple of hours would be kind of cool. But then there are also times where I'm like, I'm glad I'm not, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Um, I try really hard to be a good guy, and again, I'm so hard on myself. Every time I stumble, uh, I'm gonna beat myself up as much as anybody. But the to the community thing, and to what you were just saying about interacting with people and all that kind of stuff, you know, that's the thing about Strongsville. The thing about Strongsville that's just absolutely amazing is it's this tiny little card show that's packed full of good stuff, but it's like you're living in the college dorms,
Yep.
and you go down to the cafeteria, the dining hall, and it's all the guys that you know.
Yep.
And then you go over to the card show. So instead of going to class, you're going to the card show, and it's just something different, and it's hard to describe, but like, I was so bummed out when it was over on
Yeah.
Saturday night after trade night. I was just like, I was having a hard time. I'm like, I mean, like, some of my buddies, like Mookie's saying he's not going to go to the national. I'm like, man, I'm not going to see him for a year.
Yeah.
I'm not going to see this guy for a year.
Yeah.
I can't. That's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
And some of you guys, it's like, well, the best case scenario is I see you in 3.5 months. It's like,
Right.
what is this nonsense? That's not going to work. So, and I'm out
Well,
here on an island in California, dude.
yeah, I know. But I mean, it's beautiful out there. You got sunshine and, you know, but
It's all right.
well, I know we've talked about it before. So, as far as your collecting, I
Yeah.
know I've seen videos you've shown on your videos, you going with your dad. So, your dad was a huge influence on you as a kid.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you're so blessed by having coach in your life and all that. But
Mhm.
you've talked about the first packs you opened. I think they were what, 87 tops, right around in there, right when I was a senior in high school. So I'm kind of old. But you have a really cool collection, and I like how you collect. And so you don't give a crap what anybody else collects. So when you say collect what you like, you are a living example of that. You're the only guy I know that collects pirate cards, and you've got really cool stuff. And so you've sent me pictures of some of your autographed golf stuff, and so you sent us a picture last night of a new collection you picked up just yesterday of
Yeah.
some really cool items. So
Yeah.
you don't really fit in a box. So kind of explain your collecting style.
You had mentioned because when you said, "Hey, I think I asked you to have me on, or I guilted you. Why haven't you had me on yet?" So here
I
I
was
am.
going to do that anyway.
But I was like, "Well, what do you want to talk about?" And you're like, "Well, I'm curious to hear you talk about your collecting style and describe it." And you know what? I've been thinking about that a lot ever since you sent me that text, and I'm like, how would I describe my collecting stuff? So I was thinking, I've really been thinking about it, and I don't really know what it is, but for I think there are two things that are pretty consistent with what I collect. Number one, things that I think are beautiful. So things that I think are really attractive looking.
Yeah,
So
show me
I mean,
some of that stuff.
yeah, some cards that I think are beautiful. A card that I think is beautiful is his 53 Bowman color Warren Spawn. Like that's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's a beautiful image,
I agree.
and I also like collecting people that I like. I mean, here's another Spawn. I mean, how do you not like Spawn? The guy's a war hero, missed the
Yeah.
start of his career, and then pitched forever afterwards. And so I like Spawn, but I like beautiful cards, but I don't have every Spawn card. But I have ones that I think are beautiful. So here's a
Yeah.
52 tops, just beautiful card, right?
Yeah.
So those are three cards of his that I like and have because they're beautiful, but I also like the subject. The other thing that I have a lot of that I collect though is a lot of my collection I think is I like pretty things and I like nostalgic things. I like things that bring me back to a time when I was a kid. And some people go, but dude, you collect T206s. And I'm like, yeah, you know why? Because when I was a kid and I used to go to card shows and I would be up hanging out by the vintage tables where my dad was, I'm looking at the cases, seeing those things going, man,
I know.
I those are unbelievable. I want
Yeah.
to have those, but I wasn't
Yeah.
gonna because I was
Yeah.
digging through quarter boxes trying to find Clemens cards I didn't already have.
Yeah.
So like, my Ernie Banks, my 54 tops Ernie Banks,
Beautiful.
obviously it's my favorite card. Just absolutely love the card. It's got a little mark on it, look like it's on his chin. Uh love that card. I've wanted that since forever. I got my Brooks Robinson. In fact, I don't think I told you this, but so this card, do you remember the story on how I got this card?
Wasn't it a trade or something? You got a
Yeah, so
card and somebody needed it.
yeah. So I got a card and it was a Tharps ice cream Roger Peckinpah
That's
because
right.
another thing I collect are Yankee captain cards.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about that and show some of those here in a second. But so I bought this Tharps card of Roger Peckinpah because I only had like one Peckinpah card, and I just if there's one that's kind of cheap, I'll buy them. Now I have like 5 or 6 Peckinpah cards,
Yeah.
and so I bought this card and I showed it because after I bought it, I looked. I'm like, man, that's a pop one, not just pop one in that grade. It's a pop one total.
That's incredible.
And so I'm showing it on the video. Well, like 2 days later, I get an email, and this guy goes, "I'm trying to put together the Tharps complete set, and you have the only Peckinpah known to exist. Will you sell it to me?"
Yeah.
Well, that dude was at Strongsville,
No
and I
kidding.
traded
This
him
year?
for this.
Oh, last
I
year.
No, no, no. I traded him for this via mail. That
Ah,
deal, but
okay.
a couple of days ago, I met him. He walks up to me. He says, "Hey, Greg," and introduces himself. I'm going to show you the picture. That's why I'm looking down here. And he's like talking to me, introduces himself, and I'm like, he goes, "I'm the one that traded you the Brooks Robinson." I was like, "Holy crap!"
That's wild.
I was like, "Where's the picture? Tell me I didn't delete it, dude." Uh, and oh man, I'm gonna have to find. I don't. Where the heck is it? I don't know what. And so he ends up. We end up talking, and I'm like, "Dude, can I take a picture with you?" He's like, "You want to take a picture with me?" I was like, "Yeah." I don't.
What
Oh,
part
there
of
it
the
is.
country is he
This
from?
guy right here.
Oh, heck yeah. That's
So I was
awesome,
like, "I
man.
got to take a picture. This is the end of the story."
Yeah.
Needless to say, he's a prolific collector, collects extremely rare stuff, and I'm like, "Would you come on my channel?" And he's like, "Sure." So I think I'm gonna have him on the channel over the summer. But
That's
anyway,
awesome.
I don't even know how. Yeah, that's just sorry again, rabbit hole.
No, man, that's
But like
cool.
this, I
Listen, but
wanted this.
that's what's awesome when you collect something, you got a story behind it.
Yeah, so this Jim Brown rookie,
Yeah,
again, it's just nostalgia.
yeah.
I
And you
was named. I the spelling of my name. My parents like the name Greg. This is late '70s. I was born. Greg Nettles had a lot of heroics in the World Series and in the playoffs, and so they're like, Miller's a common last name. We should spell it that way because that would be something different. So I've
Mhm.
always kind of had a thing for Nettles, but also like all the Yankee captains, like Thurman
Right.
Munson. Love Thurman Munson. Love Jeter. So I was like, I don't know, 3 years ago, I was like, I just want to start collecting a bunch of the Yankee captain cards. So, like this checks two boxes. So Frank Chance, well, three boxes. Frank Chance, Hall of Famer, T206, check, check, Yankee captain. Now he was only a Yankee captain for half a season, but he was still a Yankee captain.
I
So
had no
check, check,
idea he
check.
was. That's
Yeah,
wild.
yeah, he was, and he I think he either left mid-season or retired mid-season, so he didn't finish it out. Then, like watching the Ken Burns documentary as a kid, who I was a little guy. I was the shortest guy in every team I was ever on. I played second base, but I had a strong arm, so I ended up becoming a shortstop. And I was scrappy, head first diving, doing whatever I had to do to get on base, steal bases, score runs. And so, like, I mean, Willie Keeler, guy
Yeah,
who does anything he can to get on base and get a hit. Like, I'm a huge Keeler guy.
yeah,
Yankee captain. He was the
yeah.
third Yankee captain. First Yankee captain is Clark Griffith right here. So
Awesome.
again, these check boxes. So Keeler and Clark Griffith, both Hall of Famers,
Yep.
T206, Yankee captain. But then I also love my guy Jeter. So
Yeah.
I haven't shown this card in a while. This is his
No.
SP. Is in
Yeah.
an 8.
Jeter was a gamer.
Yeah. So again, a lot of that's nostalgia. So I mean, I kind of went down that road, and then I mean, again, childhood cards too. Big on childhood cards like Gwyn's and Mattingly's and Ripkins and all that kind of stuff. Like
Yeah.
this is a card I got. I added this second year 81 tops Larry Bird. This card I bought raw, and when I was probably 10, and I kept it, kept it, kept it, and then during COVID, I was making a bunch of PSA submissions, and I'm like, I'm gonna send this in because it looks about perfect to me,
It looks
and it got
awesome.
an 8, got an 8,
Wow.
but whatever. And then I couldn't afford this, so this is my Bird Magic Dr. J rookie.
Yeah.
So
I
that was a
gotta get
big
that.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like a must for.
I
And
was
then
10
this,
years old, man, when, that came out. So,
I got my Rice rookie.
heck yeah.
So I mean, a lot of it's nostalgia. A lot of it is cards that I think look good. A lot of it is just that's really the two things that I think are like the common threads with what I buy. I mean, there I've had some cards where I'm like, I feel like I should have this card, but then I get it and I'm just like, it's just kind of ugly. So
Yeah.
I don't want it anymore.
So
you
do the
know.
pirate cards, are they checking the it's a pretty card box? It kinda has the history and the pretty.
So
Is that
this is the Grail pirate card. This
yeah,
is the Blackbeard,
that's the Honda Swagger.
and that's the big one. And mine's in a two, and I think it's a fantastic two.
Yeah,
But those it, sometimes things find you. I was at a little card show. It was about 12 tables in the Bay Area, and there's this guy, this older guy who had a thick kind of like Irish accent, and he had a bunch of non-sport stuff, and I was just like, I've always liked non-sport cards. And I'm just looking through his cases and I'm talking to him, picking his brain. Tell me about this. What's this card? He had a lot of boxing, a lot of non-sport. And I look in his case and he's got one pirate card. And I should have grabbed it. I didn't grab that one out, but it was raw. It was ungraded. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what is that? And he's like, oh, it's an Allen and Ginter N19 Pirates of the Spanish Main. I'm like, do you collect these? He goes, no, not really. He goes, I have a Blackbeard that's ungraded. He goes, it's really nice. And I was just like, really? And he goes, but I'm just trying to kind of thin things out. And I'm like, okay. I go, well, how much would this be? And my dad's standing right next to me. And he goes, I'll sell it to you for $20. I mean, I had some paper loss on the back. And I look over, and my dad's looking at me like, what are you doing? Like, what in the
I
heck?
can see
I'm like,
Coach doing that.
yeah. And I'm like, do you see this thing? This thing is unbelievable.
Yeah,
And he's just like, all right, dude. And so I bought like $150 worth of just non-sport stuff from him. And I love non-sport stuff. I mean, here's a Sherlock Holmes card,
yeah, yeah,
tobacco card,
yeah,
1923. My
yeah.
buddy Brent Richards has one of these too.
Very
Um, I mean, here's a Kermit.
yeah,
I
it's
just
awesome.
think this stuff is cool. Now, this is a Yoda rookie card.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it's his rookie card. I bought that one a while back.
I had so
I
many
really
Star
like
cards.
I really like the 52 looking C set. And to
Yep,
me, one of the best cards is the Einstein in that
yeah,
set. But you were asking like what's the genesis kind of some of it. The first cards I ever bought, yes, 87 tops were the first baseball cards I ever bought, but the first cards I ever bought were Garbage Pail Kids.
yeah.
And
There it
that
is.
actually,
There's the atom bomb.
yeah, yeah. And so that they actually are what got me into the whole concept of opening packs, like buying packs, opening them, see what's inside.
Yep,
And then Garbage Pail Kids during that time, I started with Series 3, which was like 86 to like maybe early 87. And it was like they were so popular, they would just sell out.
yeah,
And so you were lucky if they had them in the store. And I remember going to the store and they didn't have them, but they had some other packs and they were 87 tops baseball. And
wow,
that's how I started getting packs. So when people start bagging on like Pokemon stuff, like
yeah.
I understand it, but it also can be like it can be the first steps. It
It's a
could be an
gateway.
introduction. Yeah, it's a gateway. Exactly. It could be a gateway into cards. Like I don't even understand Pokemon cards. Like I legit don't
I tell you,
understand how I don't even know how it works, and I've not tried to understand how it works
yeah,
because it's not something that interests me. I've never been like a sci-fi guy, and
yeah.
but but we're whether we like it or not, I think we're first cousins with Pokemon. You
Their
know,
own
we're
cards.
f- yeah, their
My
cards.
first cards I ever broke open, first packs were 1977 Star Wars.
Yeah,
And so, I was how would I have been? 9 years old, 8 years old. That
w-
predated the 1978 baseball packs that I opened. So,
trying to
man, I
think
had
if
so
I've
many Star Wars cards. I have no idea what happened to all those. I had them all. Had the little Star Wars figures. Me and my brother, who's named Greg, not spelled the way yours is, but
sure.
that's original. So,
Here's my Darth Vader rookie,
Heck yeah.
and then the sticker of my guy
Oh yeah.
R2D2. He was my favorite.
Yeah, man.
So,
I need
I
to
mean,
get
I don't show a lot of this stuff because I don't. I mean, I don't think most people that watch the channel are that into it, but I love that kind of stuff. I mean, I bought a couple of non-sport cars at at the Strongsville show at the trade
yeah,
night.
collect
You know,
what
I'm
you
into the
like.
golf. Like these are. I'm big
Yeah,
into these. I've got
yeah,
both the 81 and 82 sets. Here's a Watson. I've got a bunch of these signed. I've got a Watson
yeah,
signed. I've got a
you
Lee
showed those
Trevino
to me. Those are
signed.
cool.
Yeah,
So, have
yeah.
you ever been influenced by somebody on YouTube? Like, with the what you buy or how you buy, or are you just always kind of been your own guy on that?
No, I don't think any of us, even if we think we're our own guy, I don't think any of us are our own guy because you see something cool enough,
I know.
and either we admit it to ourselves or not, we go, "What's that?" Because I need that.
Exactly.
To
You
be
need
honest with you, the guy who I think has probably influenced me the most is as far as what I not as far as the channel and like how I do things, but as far as some of the stuff that I like is probably Orlando.
really.
Orlando, whenever he does his videos on his Goodwin Champions cards or some of his tobacco cards or some of his rarer stuff, like I absolutely eat that up, and I mean those Goodwin Champion cards. If
I
we're
know.
talking beautiful,
Yep.
there are very few things that are more beautiful than a Goodwin Champion card. I mean,
Yep.
those things are unfreaking believable, especially when you think about the fact that they were printed 135 years ago
Yeah.
and they have that kind of color and they look like that. I would
Yeah.
have a bunch of them, except I can't afford them. Um,
Yeah.
he has a couple that he's got for sale that he had in Strongsville, and I'm like, man, if I was in a different, pay bracket, I probably would have bought all three of them.
Yeah,
Like
he had a
they're just,
double. He gifted me one in
I
Florida when I
know,
met him, and it
I
was,
know,
it's called the Strong Man. It was a guy that was the strongest man at that time, and he
yeah,
explained to me how they were printed and went through all that. It was very interesting. And they're
yeah.
beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous.
The one that I was thinking about making a play for is he has one of like the like a founding tennis player. Um, my the Miller line of the family, so my dad's line of the family has deep roots in tennis. My
Uh-huh.
dad grew up at a tennis club. His dad played tennis. His brother played tennis. I mean, my dad was a all American tennis player,
I didn't
like
know
in
that.
college. Yeah,
Wow.
he was like a highly ranked tennis player and um, was a tennis pro for several. Put himself through college, giving tennis lessons,
No
and so
kid.
tennis has always had kind of like a a spot in my heart. But
Yeah.
but I mean, there's so much cool stuff out there. But Orlando for sure. I think all of us, whenever Dave Berg talks, we all listen and
Yeah.
learn, and he's got great stuff and. I mean, I said the other day, I mean, you influenced me. I told you, I texted you the other morning. I'm on my way to work and
Oh, yeah.
I'm listening to your video about autographed
Yeah.
vintage cards.
Yeah.
And I finished the video as I'm still driving to work and I'm making a purchase online for a card
Yeah.
because because I'm like, dude, he's right. I thought they're cool, man.
They're so
And
freaking
so
cool.
they're so cool. So I mean, I think more people influence me than don't, if
Yeah.
I'm being honest.
Yeah. Well, some people like to say they inspire you, maybe not influence you, but
Well, same
y
thing.
yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to keep this under an hour so people will click on it
And
and
I
where
know, and
we can kinda
I'm
get it.
just over here going
No,
blah blah
dude,
blah blah.
this is we don't get to hear your story. Usually you're letting everybody talk to you, so this has been awesome. So, I'm ready to do the Miller Minute. Are you ready?
Oh boy.
You ready to let your hair
So
down?
how? I mean, do we want like the PG-13? What exactly are you looking for here?
Dude, I mean, you can do what you want. It's up to you. I mean, some of the midlife nation I know is going to tune into this one. So, you got to keep up your rep. But at the same time, man, I'd say let it all hang out. Mike Petty thinks he's the best at this, and I
Oh,
didn't admit. But if I would have told him that you were going to do this, he probably would have laughed. He probably would have said, there ain't no way he can live up to my standards." So I'm just throwing down the challenge here.
are you going to put up the timer for me?
So yeah, so if you've seen that, I'm gonna put my timer up. I'm gonna push
All right.
start. I'm not high tech. Now, if I was Graig Miller, I would have a timer thing pop up there, but I don't know how to do the stuff. You're awesome at that. I'm not. I'm just a cabinet maker. So I'm gonna put it on 1 minute and 0 seconds. And at the end of this, it's gonna go off. Now, if you want to keep rambling over that, it's kind of loud, but that's your call.
All
All
right.
right. I think I got it up as high as it'll go. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
You
The
started?
timer has started.
All right. So there's two types of businesses in this world, right? There is corporate, and then there's the mom and pop, the boutique, right? And we used to have both with card grading. We had the corporate, which was PSA, and we had the boutique, which was SGC. And we liked our boutique. We liked being able to go down there where they knew our name, where they would respond to us, where they were kind to us, where they would, treat us like we actually mattered instead of just stamping stuff as we came through because we were just a serial number. And then the corporate bought out the mom and pop shop. It's like that You've Got Mail movie with Tom Hanks and
Yeah.
Meg Ryan, where she's the little bookstore around the corner and the corporate company, a wolf or whatever they're called, is going to come buy them out and ruin them. Well, guess what? They ruined our boutique. It's gone now because before PSA bought SGC, they used to grade on site. They used to make their time in their 5-10 day turnaround. They used to turn around and respond to our emails. Their prices were there. And now all of a sudden it's gone. And why is it gone? It's because the corporate guys came and they ruined it. They ruined it. I want my boutique back.
That
How'd I do?
was awesome. I didn't know if Mr. Long Winded could get something in a minute. I knew you go a little over, but man, you almost nailed it. Did
There
that
you go.
feel
That's
good?
as fired up as you get me.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I mean, I was surprised. I was wondering where you were going to go. I didn't want to know what subject. And honestly, that was pretty good, man.
All
That was
right.
really
Well,
good.
as long as Petty and you are good with it, then I just want to make you guys proud.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you did awesome. I think Petty, he'll give you a check.
All right. Well,
you,
we'll
you,
find
you
out in the
messed
comments. He'll let me have it if I didn't.
Well, Greg, thanks for coming on, buddy. This has been a lot of fun, and I'm sorry it took me so long to get you on. I planned to do it way before now, and that's my bad. You've been really good to me, and I can't thank you enough for helping me and getting my name out there and challenging me to do this and all the stuff you did. But I'm very thankful.
Well, let me say that I love I love you as a friend. You're a fantastic guy. I'm so glad. One of the best things that's come out of my channel is becoming close friends with you. But even if we weren't friends, you genuinely have a fantastic channel that I am a huge fan of, and I I really think you've got a really high ceiling on where your channel is going to go because you're a good guy, you're an authentic guy, you're a knowledgeable guy, you've got a great collection. It's just like check, 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 check on all the things that you need. So
Well, I
even
appreciate
if we weren't buddies, I'd be a huge supporter of your channel.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And we'll catch up again, but thank you so much for gracing my channel and but we'll do it again. We got a few things in the works together and so we'll be on a screen together soon.
Looking forward to it.
All right, buddy. Thank you.